You don't start things and not finish them. You don't quit. There's nothing that comes out of quitting besides knowing that you didn't finish. We finish everything. You start it, finish it. If you're going to do it to try and be the best. Not be better than other people, be the best for you.
Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.
Blessings, blessings. Welcome to Primetime Home Buyers. If you're on Rumble, welcome back to Secure Your Energy with Lashley, the tax lien lady. We're also streaming today on one of my other platforms, Uncensored Enlightenment Talk. Blessings, y'all. Blessings for tuning in today with Lashley. Okay. Today we're going to do a Secure Your Energy live. Okay. And we're going to be focusing in on the historic property tax increase that's going on across the United States. Now, this has not been just happening over this last year. It has been a slow increase over the years. I have been noticing, I have been consistently complaining about. You guys already know. In the past, we have did a live about how to appeal your tax assessment. So we are going to refer you back to that video by the end of this live because we always like to give you resources. Okay. So today we're going to start with going into what is going on generally in the United States as far as increased property tax, some of the effects that it have on us as home buyers, renters, and just the middle class. And then we're going to go into state specific. Now on Uncensored Enlightenment Talk, I want you to highlight what we talk about when we talk about Chicago and what's going on out there and how it's going to be record high taxes, the most ever that happened historically, and to highlight that you guys already have high taxes. So thank you for tuning in with Lashley today. We're trying to get back into the algorithm. We have not been live in a while on our other platforms. I thank you. Please hit the like button. Let's get this live started. Okay. Now, we're going to start with an article that's brought to you by Capital Comment. Capital Comment, how much will homeowners' property tax bill raise in 2024? So this was at the beginning of the year, February 2024. You know, we kind of like to keep things in synchronized order so we can kind of see a build-up. We're not going to go into a lot of historical facts today. We're just going to start moving it along so you can see what's going on, okay? So this article, you know, I like to read articles, show you videos. I think this one we can play and listen to. So let's listen.
Welcome to Capital Comments with Larry DeBoer, professor of agricultural economics at Purdue University.
And this is an article brought to you from Purdue University. You know, I like to get different resources from different experts, people who do evaluations, because sometimes getting unbiased information is much better than just getting mainstream information, okay?
Capital Comments offers timely insight and commentary on public policy issues related to state and local government in Indiana, as well as national economic policy. And now, here's Larry DeBoer.
Hi, I'm Larry DeBoer, and this is Capital Comments for February 2024. Our topic this month: how much will homeowner property tax bills rise in 2024? Last year, Indiana homeowners were hit with property tax bill increases averaging 17%, an extraordinary increase. Will it happen again in 2024? Let's compare 2023 to what we know about 2024 so far and take a guess. The pandemic economy caused home values to spike in 2021. Low mortgage rates and people's desire for adding living space increased demand. Supply was limited by lagging home construction. Home prices rose 14%. County assessors captured those higher values in their 2022 assessments. Gross assessed values rose 16%, and those values were used for tax bills in 2023. Home prices continued to rise in 2022 before higher mortgage rates had their effect. The average increase was 16%. We don't have statewide data for gross assessed values for 2024 yet, but the increase could be between 10 to 12%, less than last year's rise.
Let's see.
Taxes are based on net assessed value, which is the gross minus deductions. For taxes in 2023, the net assessed value of homesteads rose 21%, even more than the 16% gross rise. That's because the $48,000 standard homestead deduction remained the same while assessed values increased.
Exactly.
The remainder after the deduction increased even more in percentage terms. Total net assessed value for all property, including rental housing, farmland, and business property, rose 15%. Indiana's gateway system has already reported net assessed values for 2024. For all property, net assessments will rise 6%, less than half of last year's increase. The statewide increase for homesteads is just 4%, way less than last year's 21%. The main reason is a policy change made by the General Assembly. Legislators increased the supplemental homestead deduction from 35 to 40% of assessments after the standard deduction. It's a seemingly small change that had a big effect. Property tax rates are recalculated each year by each local government. The revenue to be collected is the tax levy, which is divided by assessed value to set the tax rate. Indiana places a maximum on each unit's levy, which increases by a statewide growth rate each year. Last year, the growth rate was 5%. This year, the General Assembly limited that increase to 4%. Despite the maximum, last year, the total levy increased by 9%. That's because some levies are outside the maximum levy controls. Debt service to repay borrowing for big projects and levies passed by referendum are not under the maximum. Last year, those levies increased by about 16%. This year, legislators restricted some referendum levy increases to 3%. The total levy rise should be smaller than last year, perhaps between 5 and 6%. Last year, total net assessed values rose 15%, the levy rose 9%, so the average property tax rate fell by 6%. That's why homestead tax bills rose less than the net assessed value rise. Tax rates for 2024 have been reported on the Department of Local Government Finance's website in the county budget orders. The average rate will fall slightly by 0.4%. Some homeowners have their property taxes capped by Indiana's circuit breakers at 1% of their gross assessed values. In 2023, the caps helped a little because tax bills are based on net assessments while the caps are based on the gross. Since the net rose more than the gross, more tax bills were limited by the caps. That won't happen in 2024. Because of the higher supplemental deduction, gross assessed values will rise a lot more than net assessments. Fewer homeowners will see their taxes limited by the caps. Ironically, homesteads that remain capped will see the biggest percentage increases. They'll be charged 1% of gross assessed value, which will likely see double-digit percentage hikes. What's the guess for 2024? The average homeowner should see smaller increases in net assessed value than in 2023. Average tax rates will change little, so tax bills on middle-valued homes should rise 3 to 4%. Tax bills on higher-valued homes will increase more. Your local tax rate changes will differ from the average, but homeowner tax bills in 2024 should rise a lot less than they did in 2023.
Okay. So that was an amazing article that was brought to you by Capitol Hill, Purdue University. That article right there is going to be the foundation of our part 2. Now, you know what we like to do. We like to create PowerPoints. We like to get into detail. Some of the concepts that he talked about here, I want to go in detail with you guys so you can understand. And also, I want to understand tax levies a little bit more for what's going on in my other platform. Okay, so what we're going to highlight today, just to let you know what we're going to follow up with, is standard homestead deductions, how it affects your tax levies. We're going to go into that in detail. We're going to go into tax levies in itself, caps of it, the whole concept between of levies and how levies affect your taxes. So we got standard home deductions affect your taxes, the levies that's on the county as well. And then also they cap sometimes the gross assessed value. Now, I have talked to you guys about that a little bit. If you look at your tax bill, it's not going to be the total fair market value that they actually tax on. So that was some of the things that we already touched already. Allegedly, and you know, this is all for information and educational purposes. What he is saying is that our taxes are not supposed to go or may not go up above 2 to 3%. So, you know, I'm in the middle of going back and forth with my tax commissioner, you know, trying to get some information, especially about why there's different percentage of percentage of our taxes. And I see that in other people's tax bill as well. What I had saw in the Thornton tax bill, that the schools has a higher rate of taxation, and I want to know why, and I want to know if that's within the law. That's what I'm asking in my particular situation, and that's something that you can ask. So we just wanted to start with this article because that article is going to be a flashback subject. Okay, so remember it. I'm going to have it in the description, most likely by tomorrow. Y'all know what I do, and y'all be able to look that up yourself. Okay. So hold on 1 second. What to expect on your 2024 property tax bill? Now that's Indiana. Hold on 1 second, y'all. How much higher are your post-pandemic property taxes? So this was brought to you by the New York Times, and this was March 28th, 2023. Now we're still kind of flashing back because one of the things that they did say in the last article was one of the effects of our taxes, why it went up, is because of the past economic situation, which involved us being in the homes, not being able to go out during the pandemic, being in the thick of it. Our counties, our businesses not receiving money. So that in itself slowed down the economy. So there was a big infusion of money at that time. And also what they did is they lowered the tax rate for the big companies. Now, this was done on the Federal Reserve level. We did not see the lower tax rates. The interest rates. Let me just correct that. We did not see lower mortgage interest rates as home investors, but the big banks, those were the ones who had the 1%, then it went down to 0%. And that was on a Federal Reserve level. That was their way of allegedly stimulating the economy by allowing bigger companies to be able to borrow. Now, that was a trickle effect, as I told you guys. These big companies was able to borrow, but they end up being the companies that scooped up the property. Again, that led to inflation in our property value and our fair market value, because we have like, even in Georgia, what I brought up to you a few weeks ago, 30% of the homes, and I believe more, has been scooped up by private companies. So those private companies are actually gauging the market. And this is why I always tell you guys it's important to get yourself into the market. There's nothing better than having land, period. Okay? Because that's going to, one, help you have generational wealth, access to liquidating, this property, have generational wealth, as well as us being able to control the economy. We have a different mind. I always have to remind you guys, we have a different mind compared to big corporations. And as you know, legally, the corporations are basically considered human. They have the same rights as us when we went into law. So, except for they're not taxed like us, allegedly. So with that goes to say, we have to basically even out the market by us participating in the market and finding ways to get in, even though we feel shut out because we did not get those low interest rates. And as of right now, let me see what is the current home mortgage interest rate before I read this article. What is the current home mortgage interest rate? The loan rate. Let's see. What is, sorry, hold on. Please hit the like button. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in on my other platforms. Thank you for getting us into the algorithm again, because we've been, just trying to catch up, and we've been focused on other stuff. Stop it. All right. They're giving us, as soon as I put that in, they're giving us, oh, you want to get a loan? As soon as you say that. I'm just trying to find a good article. Mortgage rate still is at 7% as home prices surge. This was June 27, 2024. We're about 7 months in. So I'm going to say we're still at or about 7% on an average 30-year interest. 30-year fixed mortgage rate. If you get a 20-year fixed mortgage rate, it's at or about 6.8%. If you get a shorter one, the interest is a little bit higher. Lower, and your payments be a little bit higher. Please understand the concept of loan and interest rate. We kind of talked about that a couple of weeks ago. I'll try to tag some of those videos at the bottom. 15 years fixed interest rate, you'll have about a 6.5%. 15-year fixed rate mortgage, you will have a 6.5. So basically, you're not going below 6.5 in any type of fixed term mortgage that's offered right now. Okay. And I think that does not matter what your credit is. So let's just keep that in mind. When they were saying that the interest rates went low, it didn't go low for us at all. Okay. So how much higher are your post-pandemic rates? Again, let's see the median price for it. Now, this is what's really crazy for me, because some single family homes are really small, and it's out of pocket to see these single family homes, 300,000 averaging. Okay, it does not make sense to me. But according to this article, the New York Times, the median price for a single family home in the United States rose to about 40% in 2019 to 2023, peaking at 480,000 before receding to about 417,000, closing at 2023. The higher home prices have led to higher property taxes, adding even more to the monthly home budget. We went into how you need an escrow account, how they have an escrow account related to your mortgage, where your taxes and your insurance payments go in for the year, and they break it up monthly. Okay, we talked about that, and I wanted you guys to understand your rights related to that. We did a video on that, and how sometimes these escrow accounts can hold too much money, and because they do their own calculations sometimes, and it even increase your mortgage, your payment monthly even higher. And they are under the realms that they're going to reimburse you the money at the end of the year. So we talked to you about how to negotiate that, how to kind of tell them what it's supposed to be, how to calculate what is your expected insurance rate based on the value of your home and to rebuild and those type of things. Okay, so remember we did a video on that. Hopefully I could put it at the bottom for you guys. Okay, so what they're saying is it was a 40% interest rate. Excuse me, let me drink some coffee. I don't know why I'm tongue tied today. Jesus, thank you. Correct me. Okay, let's get back to it. 40% from 2019 to 2022. Okay, that was a 40% price raise. Okay, so that's why I told you the average home is about $300,000, and they're not even in condition or at size to be that. Okay. Property taxes are based on the home assessed value and the local tax rates. Reassessment timelines differ. Taxable home values are determined either at the time of sale, annually, or another schedule. So the pandemic prices increases have affected rates differently depending on the location. CoreLogic found that tax rose to 26.3% among homes that were assessed since 2019 and 18%, which is about $400 among those that were not. Okay. That how they just increased it without assessing it. I'm sorry, that's why I paused. I said, how they just increased it without assessing it? What's a few $100s over the course of 12 months? Maybe not a big deal to the bankers in low cost counties where the tax rates are more manageable. Okay. And that's what I told you. It may not mean nothing to them. Like, for instance, my insurance went up for a car insurance. She was like, it's only $200 for the year. That's $13 a month. I said, baby, $13 can feed our family, can help us get a meal if you go to the right place. What do you mean? My pay rate didn't go up. And I'll be telling the people before I talk to them, please don't take offense, because I'm about to get some stuff on recording right now for you guys, because this is ridiculous. So let's get into this. This is brought to you by US Today, and this was published April 13, 2024. These states have the highest property tax. Where does your state fit in? Okay, so let's get this on the map. Thank you so much for being with us today. Hopefully Rumble put us back in the algorithm. Thank you, Uncensored Enlightenment Talk, for being here with Lashley, the tax lien lady. You get to see another side of me, my business side, but I'm very serious about this. We have to understand what's going on in the market. We have no control of what's going on. Our big businesses are running everything, controlling everything, and we are literally almost totally under the guise of own nothing and be miserable, because we ain't happy. Okay, so these states have the highest property taxes. Let's listen to this right quick.
If your property taxes have skyrocketed the past few years, you're not alone. These tax hikes can be really hard to budget for, especially if they catch you off guard. But there are some things you can do.
Walt Ben checks his mailbox every day.
Nope, not here yet.
Knowing a big property tax bill is coming soon. Like many homeowners, he tracked down his new property valuation online.
I found it, and it's amazing.
And was shocked by the number.
And what's the percentage?
27, a little over about 28% right now.
He'll now have to pay $600 more in property taxes.
30%? No, did they just think people weren't going to notice?
Home appreciation like Walt is experiencing is happening nationwide, up almost 5% in the last year, according to S&P CoreLogic's latest home price index. If you look at the last 3 years, that appreciation climbs to almost 11%.
One of the side effects of that is that you end up with higher property taxes.
Jacob Channel is a senior economist for LendingTree. He says the dramatic surge started during the pandemic and can be a tough pill to swallow for many homeowners.
You do want to budget accordingly.
But there's a silver lining if you plan to sell in the future.
Rising real estate taxes means that the value of your property is also increasing.
If you think your valuation isn't right,
you can argue. In some cases that can work. Do keep in mind, though, that there's no guarantee.
Remember, with so many different factors in place,
even people in the same city can pay vastly different amounts.
Walt is considering an appeal.
It pinches me a lot with everything going on in the country. Inflation, shrinkflation, greedflation, whatever you want to call it. It stinks.
So you don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese.
Oh my God. He said the right word. He called it greedflation. I had to laugh at that. Now you see exactly what he said. He said he's looking for that tax bill. I just got mine. I thought I already contested, but something going on with the mail. I'm gonna have to go put it on their desk. But I just got mine to I'm going to appeal because it went up about $600. So I totally understand what he is saying. Also, we got to take in consideration that the supply and demand allegedly is not balanced. And I would assume it's not in a lot of states, especially dealing with immigration. Okay, that is a big problem, housing issues, and that's why New York housing, the cost for living is to the roof, and New York was already through the roof. And we kind of went into that why what was going on in New York. As far as the Airbnbs was one of the factors that increased the rental rate in New York because they became competition and they turned a lot of apartments into Airbnbs, increasing the rate. And renters didn't have places to rent. So what ended up happening, it became an increased demand. And when it's an increased demand in America, instead of trying to supply it, they increase how much it costs. And I explained that to my kids one day, and they was like, that's greedy. That's stupid. Why do they do that? If you're, for another example, if your credit is low, you have to pay more. And that is even for people who are just getting credit, just learning about it. You know how this is how I think the system is backwards and it penalizes us. Okay. So remembering that we had those factors as migration. So the supply and demand issue increased, as well as we had always had a homeless issue. We always had that, which they never corrected. There was a rotating door, having people coming in and out of these places, which they call shelters. They come in at they had to be in by 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock and then get out by 6 o'clock in the morning. These living situations never really giving them real housing. On top of the construction went down. Now, construction went down, one, because the supply coming in was an issue at one point in 2021 to 22. We know that. Also, it was an issue because the cost of wood and supplies went up. That was ridiculous. I was looking into getting a fence done, and it went from only being like $6,000 to about 11. I was like, oh my God. So that was a factor that slowed down building. And I will say some policies also stopped it in some states. Does that make sense? Now we're going to give you an example. The policies that they did in Florida, the immigration policies in Florida earlier this year made a lot of migrants stop working. And there was a lot of TikTok videos that showed these construction sites just with nobody building nothing. So these are some of the factors that actually affects the housing prices, what's going on, the supply and demand. Does that make sense? All right, so let's keep it going. We're going to go into one of our states of the hour. Families from Chicago families in Chicago property taxes increased 440%. This was 1 year ago. We're going to hear what ABC Chicago has to say, because there's no way. I don't even believe this. Okay, we're going to put it up there. People in Chicago, please, you need to pay attention to what's going on, as well as ways that you're going to be able to combat this. I give you a lot of examples, a lot of information on primetime home buyers. My other platforms, we're going to, at the end, show you primetime home buyers on YouTube, because that's where I have hundreds of free videos just waiting for you guys just to learn about concepts to help protect yourself. Okay. Now, do I got it on the screen? Till I got it on the screen. I'm just trying to make sure I'm broadcasting correctly. All right, I got it on my screen, but I didn't get myself on the screen. Here we go. So this is brought to you by ABC 7 Chicago.
That's right, Terrell and Cheryl. Property taxes are up for many of us, but the I-Team is looking into one case where a family says their modest apartment complex could go bankrupt. That's because they're faced with a 440% increase in property taxes. This 700 square foot one bedroom apartment will now cost Michael Markellos $17,494 in property taxes for 1 year.
This has put us in a tremendous financial bind because the building now has gone negative between all the bills.
Markellos and his mother own this 10-unit Lincoln Park apartment complex. Last year's tax bill for all 10 units combined was $23,674. But now look at this. The same 10 units are now $128,282 this year, up 440%.
I was outraged. These are basically simple one-bedroom apartments for people, college graduates who work downtown.
The majority of the annual increases are from the latest installment of tax bills just sent out at the beginning of December. The payment is due before the end of the year, and in just a few months, another installment of taxes will be due.
Merry Christmas and Happy Valentine's Day.
Markellos says the only way to pay for the recent tax hike would be to raise the rent on the one-bedroom apartments. The increase, he says, would scare renters away.
They have to go up to $5,000, $6,000 to pay all the bills.
And no one's going to pay that.
Well, who in their right mind is going to pay for it?
Markellos' attorney is appealing the increase with the Board of Review and the Cook County Assessor's Office, which assesses properties and determines how much to bill. How hard is this for you?
Financially, it's putting the building in bankruptcy.
What are you going to do?
I don't know yet. I'm hoping someone like you can help me.
We also asked the assessor's office about the 440% increase. A spokesperson says it's due to the assessor's change in how these types of properties are now classified by the county. They say these types of buildings were unfairly classified as commercial properties. As of 2021, they are now considered residential properties, adding that the previous classification gave unfair tax advantages. The assessor's office added that since Markellos and his family are the only owners of the building, they can apply to get the property reclassified as commercial to possibly bring down next year's bill.
I would like the assessor to come out here and just take a look at this unit and tell me this is worth $17,000 in taxes.
Wow, he's not the only person dealing with higher bills. The Cook County Treasurer's Office, which distributes and collects the bills, recently conducted a study showing that property taxes across the county rose $614 million this year. That's up 3.8%. Terrell Sherrill, Latino neighborhoods in gentrifying areas are seeing the biggest increases, 20 to 46%. So a lot of us can relate to this.
Yeah. I'm glad you're saying the gentrified areas, you use the right concept, baby, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Let's get back to some of the key concepts that they talked about here. This is ridiculous, but they did hit some of the key concepts that we have talked about in the past and that we have videos to help you. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, it hurt my heart. Y'all see me over here making all these type of faces. Now, in this particular situation, he seemed to be a private owner, which not a business. Well, this is his business, but it seems like not a corporation, that what I talked to you about. As a private investor, he owned a multifamily unit. He was originally paying $23,000. Can you imagine having to pay $128,000? And what if he still have a loan attached to this or a second mortgage? This is not including the mortgage that may be attached to this property, because just because you own something, people say they own it, doesn't mean you own it outright. We already talked about the different type of deeds that they offer. And some of the deeds that mortgage company offer are actually they're called trust deeds in trust. And with that goes to say you are just a beneficiary or a person that is to have rights to the property, but they are still the established owner of the property at this point before you pay the mortgage off. So let's just keep that in mind. When people say they own this, they're still in kind of like a renter position, and they still have to pay their mortgage and the interest rate that's attached to it. So just imagine, and then the mortgage company in itself has the escrow account attached. So it's going to get paid through your mortgage. On the other hand, if the property is already paid for, this person may be used to paying $26,000 at or about. And now they have an increase of $128,000, thinking that they have a secure property that make a generational wealth, for their family. And boom, they have to not take another loan. They may have to take a yearly loan just to pay the increase in taxes. How egregious is that? So in this particular situation as well, you see this person saying, hey, we about to take them to task. Now there's other ways that you can take them to task. We have talked about zoning and looking at property and getting it reclassified. Now that's one of the things that is a big part of when you do your due diligence for looking at properties you're possibly about to invest in. Do you remember, guys? You want to contact the zoning office to see, is this commercial property? Is this residential property? Again, like we talked about earlier, if John is on the live, he was at our Q&A and he invested in property in Arizona. Shout out to John, because I told you Arizona is a very not hard state to invest. Okay. With that goes to say thank you, Valerie, for being in the building. I appreciate you. I try to keep this more formal, so I'm not going to put a lot up here at the bottom, but I'm definitely going to put that. I appreciate you, Val. I hope this information is going to be doing you some justice. So John went to our Q&A. And in our Q&A, he told us about investing in Arizona. In his particular situation, he had a question for me, which was on his property that he is investing in Arizona. He found that it is an encumbrance for nonprofit. Now, I never heard about that in my life, a nonprofit encumbrance. Now, you know, there can be an electrical encumbrance, which will, in that property you can't build, and that electrical company has rights to it because that has been on the property and you'll have to contest it as a new owner. We talked about that. But in John's particular situation, what I found out, just to reiterate, is that actually nonprofit encumbrance can be used for tax deferment. Now he has to contact the county and the tax assessor's office to find out if that rolls over into him being able to use it. Okay, because I would assume he should be able, because whatever organization established it years ago, they may not be in operation. So that goes right into the subject where we talk about changing the classification of particular property. The classification was changed on his multifamily property from a residential to commercial, increasing his tax bill tremendously because there's different calculations. That's why I told you guys, know what you're investing in, because you not only want to be able to build what you want to, you're going to be taxed based on different rates. So you can tell what it is when you go to the tax assessor's office on what is being taxed for, and it will tell you if it's a commercial or residential property. So in his particular situation, instead of just contesting the taxes, he's taking it a step deeper and trying to get it reclassified. And that is a great concept to remember. Do you remember, guys, that we did a live, and the person, he had an old firehouse, and that firehouse was sold to him as a residential property. And then a year or so after he made it all nice, people were hating on him. Y'all remember? Then the county came and built him and said that it was not able to be a residential. And he had this big lawsuit and all this stuff he had to get done about the classification, get the records and everything. So that's why I tell you guys, do your due diligence, because you may invest in a property, fall in love with it, and have to fight for it. Okay, so does that make sense? We went into commercial versus residential and reclassification. So I like this topic because it's really going through a lot of the stuff that we've been bringing to your attention over the year on Primetime Home Buyer. So now you can see why I went out of just talking about tax liens and tax deeds investments, because I can talk about the process all the time, sell you, but I would need you guys to be safe, because when people call me to consultate about what has happened, usually they in the thick of it, they have to get a lawyer. There's something wrong with the paperwork. There's some type of encumbrance or something on the property. And by that time, you have to put money in and get a lawyer. And that could have been looked at before when you did your due diligence. Okay. So let's move forward. Why Chicago South Suburban faces record high property taxes. Now, the last video I showed you was actually 1 year ago. You remember? Now we're going to bring you up to date on what's happening right now. This is 3 days ago. Okay. Now, just because we're talking about Chicago does not mean that it does not apply to the surrounding cities. Does not mean that it does not apply to the surrounding states, because what happened there happens here. You know what I'm saying? Especially with you. I told you, COVID showed me a lot. Because once they did it, all states start following. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute. And then some states didn't participate. So let's get to this. Why Chicago's South Suburbs faces record high property tax increase. I appreciate you guys being here, especially to the new audience on Uncensored Enlightenment Talk. This is not our normal. I usually don't share this on that platform, Grace Levi. But I do want to introduce you to the other platforms so you guys can stay up to par about more professional things, okay? Thank you for being with me.
If you live in the South Suburbs, you may be in for sticker shock as property taxes are up nearly 20%, and that is a record high. It's according to a new analysis by the Cook County Treasurer's Office. It's the largest increase in 30 years. Of those 15 suburbs, 13 have mostly Black populations. Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas says the end of COVID reductions and businesses appealing their assessments are fueling the tax hikes. She also has a warning for homeowners in the city.
I was going to make a prediction about the city of Chicago next year. I would say it's going up. I would say it's going up. And I would say residences are probably in for a shock.
Pappas urges state lawmakers to take action on property tax reform. Tax bills go out next week. They must be paid by August 1st.
All right. Oh, is it more?
So what Dardick and Lighty did was an analysis.
It's an 8-minute video. So I'm gonna take some notes from this and we're gonna kind of probably watch 4 minutes of it. You know, I'm gonna leave the video and link in the bottom for you guys, and I'm gonna give my commentary.
Analysis of all 1.8 million bills. So we do this. This is the 4th year that we've done this. So we're pretty proud of their work product, which says, what does it say? It says, hey, listen.
This is the stuff your insurance company doesn't want you to.
I want you to do that to me. Okay, while this is playing, I do want to kind of say something. One thing that she highlight, property tax policies. This is why you guys go to the board meetings. This is why you talk to your state representatives. This is why you yourself can come up with some type of policies and present it to your board members, these state representatives, and in relation to capping rent, related to capping property tax and things thereof. Maybe on another live we'll go into it. I don't know how serious y'all are, but I have talked about this a couple of years ago that the people, probably like into the COVID, that the people have the right to construct the bill, because a lot of people were fighting to get their rights when it came to the inoculation. So some people were trying to present bills to their, Senate so they could try to push it through. So maybe on a later date when we get back into law this summer, maybe we could talk about that. That is kind of off real estate. But if I do need to do that, I may do that for you guys. Y'all let me know. All right. So what we were saying, that the policies are very important to pay attention to in your local municipality. I have found that an issue when I was in Newark, that they didn't have a rent cap, and my rent went up like $100. And I was like, what the hell? I was complaining. And they was like, well, if y'all attend the meetings and y'all come and talk to y'all representative, this is what the lady on the phone told me, then y'all can get some things done. I was like, girl, it's too late for that. My rent is up $100. What I'm supposed to do? So please jump on it early. Okay, guys, you have a voice. You have procedures that you can actually do without having putting all of your power into other people's hands. You can do this. Okay.
The South Suburbs, which were recently reassessed, are up 19%. And 15 of the South Suburbs, which are 13 of which are in Black areas, are up 30%.
Wow.
So we think that's significant, and we think it's...
Now, I'm not geographically friendly, my Dalton and Thornton people, but is that y'all area? Is this your area they're talking about?
It's extraordinarily significant because people are going to open up their mailboxes and they're going to say, what's going on? Well, the what's going on is here. This is our new programming. It's called Where Does Your Money Go? And it shows that this particular residence went up by $3,800, but it tells you which taxing district increased your taxes and by how much. In this instance, they're all Moores.
Y'all see me over here trying to look at these areas, seeing if I see Thornton or Dalton, but I do say Cook County. It's all blurry. I'm all like, well, let me see.
Okay, so this is a residence. Then on this side, we have for you. I don't know if you can see this well enough, but this is a commercial building. Okay. So this is a commercial building. Believe it or not, it's up 1.4 million. Why is it up 1.4 million? Because everybody comes in, they stop me on the street. If I walk underground to Macy's, they like, why did my taxes go up? Why did my taxes go up? This shows why. Look here in this area, a new TIF was created.
Oh.
The school district went up. And by how much? These are all mores. But this is currently online on our website, cookcountytreasurer.com. You can download your bill right now. You don't have to wait to get it on July 1st or July.
All right, I'm going to stop right here because I want to go deeper into this on another live. And I think I'm going to do that specifically on Uncensored Enlightenment Talk, because this right here is something that can help educate Dalton and Thornton. As you know, yet the other day when we were going through the financial papers, I was like, is this your bill? Is this your bill? And I could not understand all the things that y'all was being taxed. So I'm going to use that as a reference video. And we're going to go back into taxation for you guys specifically. Okay. If you want that, we could probably do it next week. Okay. Now, this was just a breakdown, just a highlight some of the counties that are affected. And we're definitely talking about Chicago suburbs. And what did they say? What did they say? The Black areas, gentrification, lower income areas. This is why you must attend. This is why you must participate. This is why you must understand what's going on. Again, Cook County, the worstest and the bestest. Okay, and my thing I wanted just to highlight before I move on my notes, renters are affected by this. I don't want you to think it's just homeowners. You already heard what the last gentleman said with the multifamily home. He said it will be ridiculous. At least he had a heart to say it will be ridiculous to go up on rent so much, charging $1,500, $1,300, or no, $3,000 for a one bedroom. This is why the property needs to go back into our hand and out of corporations. You heard that man have a heart. He said, no, I can't do that. We just going to have to fight. You know what I'm saying? These people, there's no way that's going to work. Corporations, they will call each other like, okay, you own this, that, and the third. We're going to all rent our properties at around this price. So y'all don't go low. Nobody go low. And that's what they do. Even they were doing with realtors. Y'all found out about realtors. They don't have the right to charge you 6% at a interest rate. Fee. They don't have, it's not set. It's actually variable. You can negotiate it. Remember, we found that out, and we all thought like your realtor just get this amount. Heck no. But they all got in alignment and they all got in trouble for basically not letting the public know that they had a right to negotiate the rates. So these are some of the things that you need to know. Renters are affected. You will be affected. And as I mentioned, the crime is terrible in Cook County. Where is your tax money going to? It's terrible. It's terrible in most urban areas at this time. I'm not excluding my area. Where is the tax money going to? All right. So now we're going to move on into, we're focusing right now still on Cook County, Chicago area, Illinois. Here we go. Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas discussed historical property hikes. This was 4 days ago. Something is about to go down, y'all. Y'all better vote them out. Y'all know who y'all need to vote out. If y'all don't, please get focused now. No more distractions. Figure out what these people stand for, what their policies is. Write to them, ask them some questions. Y'all have a couple of months. And that's across the United States. We have a couple of months to choose who are going into place and things like that if you participate. Okay? Let's play this.
Well, as the second installment of Cook County property taxes are about to get sent out, South and Southwest suburban homeowners will have to pay a lot more. And according to a new analysis released today, suburbs with majority Black populations are being hit the hardest. 2023 South suburban property taxes are up by just shy of 20% on average, and that's a new record. In two towns, Dixmoor and Phoenix, where I grew up, tax bills have more than doubled. To take a deeper dive into this, Audrina Sinclair is sitting down with Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas, whose office conducted this analysis. Good morning, Audrina.
Good morning. She looked like she fun. Look at her jacket. I'm sorry. Y'all know I got a little distracted. She a little fun.
Yeah, Ryan, it's so good to have you here with us this morning because this just came out this morning and it's a bit alarming. I think homeowners are going to hear this morning, especially in the south suburbs, and be angry, shocked, maybe to hear.
Maybe a few fainting spells when they get to
For
the
real,
mailbox.
because this is a huge increase. I'm looking at this analysis. It's 25 pages, but we're going to willow it down here. Particularly hit hard homeowners in the south suburbs, 15 suburbs, 13 of them mostly Black, are facing tax increases of more than 30%.
And most everyone else in the south suburbs, on average, is 19%. So every 3 years, every 3 years, sections, and this is the south suburbs this time, get reassessed. This area just went through a reassessment. So what happens in the reassessment? Everything kind of says, what's this building worth? What's this worth? What's that worth?
Wait,
The commercial buildings.
Let's stop. Wait, did I hear that right? Let me just make sure before I repeat it, because it sounded like they said 19% in suburbs and 30% in the Black community. Wait a minute. Let's just play that one more time. Because I couldn't hear it.
Increases of more than 30%.
See, hold up.
25 pages, but we're going to willow it down here. Particularly hit hard homeowners in the south suburbs, 15 suburbs, 13 of them mostly Black, are facing tax increases of more than 30%.
And most everyone else in the south suburbs, on average, is 19%.
Did you hear that? When people catch a cold, what did I say? We get the flu. Why we get the flu? Because we don't know what the heck going on in our county. They probably thought that we wasn't going to catch it. I had to put that on replay. Like, did she say 30% in the Black communities and actually 19 in the other suburban communities? Now we need to figure out why is that happening. We already know the system. We ain't going to get into that, but also what we can do to mitigate the system trying to do that to us. Attend the meetings, write letters, be on these financial documents that they release on your town website, city website. Ask questions, show up to the town meetings, okay? Write emails. I think email and mail is much better than just only attending, because that put a paper trail, and we want to create a paper trail. Petitions on particular subject matters or issues that people agree with, to bring it to the attention of your local municipality. Okay, these are some of the things that we can do.
So
30%. I'm sorry, I just had to. Why did we stop? 30% in the Black communities, suburbs, versus 19% of just the suburbs. I'm gonna dig it in the hole.
Every 3 years, sections, and this is the south suburbs this time, get reassessed. This area just went through a reassessment. So what happens in the reassessment? Everything kind of says, what's this building worth? What's this worth? What's that worth? The commercial buildings in those areas have no businesses left. So this is like a scale. Clever grocers and people weigh everything. What happens when the scale is put to test? This commercial building is going to pay less taxes because nobody's in it. Okay, so who's left? There are 5 people on this block and another 5 have left. Okay, the 5 people who are left in Phoenix, for example, are picking up the 5 people who left Illinois and the commercial building that went down. So these 5 people that are left, 5 people left Illinois, commercial buildings are empty. These 5 people are going to open their mailbox and they're going to say, wait a minute, I just went to the grocery store and I gave $50 and I used to get 2 bags of groceries. I just came back and I get a half a bag.
Right.
My gas bill went up. My telephone bill went up.
She's going into inflation. We're going to save this conversation for a little bit later, but I do want to get more knowledge on how commercial buildings affects the tax rate in residentials. We do know the more businesses that come, the more big name businesses and colleges that come to the area, the tax rate goes up, but they seem to get a tax break. So that's something that I want to do a little bit more research on, how that particularly affects us as residents and homeowners, because once all of these commercial properties come in, our rate go up as well, but their rates are lower. That's why you heard the man specifically said that his multifamily was categorized as commercial property and it was lower, $23,000 versus 120 something thousand. Oh my God. So this is when I tell you guys, starting a business is sometimes very beneficial. And this is going to reflect back to a live I did about a couple of weeks ago where we talked about real estate and business entities and taxes, how your actual status can benefit you or work against you. Now, you know, as a regular investor in home, you are taxed and you tax a certain way without having a business entity. You also have sale taxes that you have to pay on monies that are earned, gain interest on that home. We have to do the same thing as business owners, but some of the tax deductions that I went over with you guys, you get more tax deductions being a real estate entity than actually just a investor under your own name. So that's why I chose to participate under a business entity as far as my real estate investments, because when it comes to taxes, it's different. Okay. I have more chances of write offs and things like that. And we went over that about 2-3 videos of the write offs, the taxes, all of that deferred taxes you can do off a certain portion over the year. We talked about a lot of that. So I'm going to see, can I put the Secure Your Energy link at the bottom of this page? Because when y'all go to the Secure Your Energy, the playlist, that's where you're going to see most of these diverse topics. Okay. And then we have other playlists related to tax liens and tax deeds investments. We have the state by state breakdown, which is, you know, focus on each state that I allow to be on the public platform for you guys. Okay. So I'm not about to sell y'all course or anything right now, but I am referring you back to a lot of my resources that I have for free. Okay, y'all guys love free. I know y'all do. Come on, get this work. Now we're gonna move on a little bit out of Chicago because I want you guys to just know, Chicago, you ain't by yourself. You ain't special. Okay, this is going across the country. So we're gonna get into Toronto and what they have to say about this as well, because they're going through it. So we're going to hit a few states and then we're going to give you some resources. I did find a map that you can kind of assess how much the taxes are in different areas, which will help you guys kind of assess what's going on in your state versus other state. You always want to compare. Because when I write papers, I'm like, this was happening in Florida. Why you can't do it? Or you come up with ideas based on other states and see, can you know, maybe you come up with something for your legislator. Does that make sense?
Property tax increase is included in the A historic property tax increase is included in the proposed 2024 budget, which Mayor Olivia Chow will present to City Council very soon. With more on what to expect, we're joined now by Mark McAllister. Okay, Mark, what's the big headline? What's the number that Toronto property owners need to know?
Yes, well, it's a significant property tax increase. It's now going to be 9.5% added to your property tax bill in the end. All the discussion to this point has been in and around 10.5%. And so some might see this as a decrease, but keep in mind, since amalgamation, this is the largest it's ever been. Mayor Chow here in Scarborough this morning to talk about that and what she says is a historic investment in various services and making sure that this city is going to be more affordable in the end. Part of the announcement this morning, too, was something that's brand new. There's been lots of talk about the need for the busway where the Scarborough RT used to operate. And so what is planned now is a shift in capital funds into getting that busway actually built sooner. And she's calling it the Back on Track Fund as a part of that. She also wanted to make sure that people understood that cuts won't be taking place as a result of being able to invest more from a property tax. And here's what she said about what could happen if more cuts were made.
We cannot cut our way out of this mess. If we cut deeper, we could be cutting a bone and hitting the marrow. It would only accelerate the decline of our transit system. It would be damaging. It would also damage our ability to provide affordable housing. It would make it harder to service parks, protect people in an emergency, or even just filling potholes.
And so there was some discussion as well in and around the refugee programs and whether or not there would be extra funding from the federal government to help avoid what had been deemed a federal impact levy on top of property taxes. As of yesterday, there was an announcement from Minister Mark Miller in Ottawa that there would be money making its way to both Quebec and Toronto. We don't know what that amount is exactly at this point, but confirmed today that there won't be extra money added to the property tax bill as a result of that.
This is Canada, guys. My correction, Toronto, and then when he said Ottawa, it made me remember Ottawa. That's in Canada. So this is across the world, not just United States. Canada is feeling this too. And I mentioned this to someone who I was talking to Canada. I was like, "Damn, the cost of living is high out there. How do you live?" So this, do you hear what this lady is talking? She is talking hot stuff. To me, that is word magic. You know, oh, if we do more cuts, we're gonna cut the bone marrow. We're not gonna have potholes fixed and things like that. Okay, first and foremost, you're gonna have to find a way to rebudget what we already have. Okay, you're gonna have to find more resources that's a little bit cheaper and kind of, you know, see where you can make things happen, budgeting what we have. That's first and foremost. So what we have budget in this particular state or Toronto is not enough. Now they want to do a train. They want to do a train system. And again, every time they build something, it falls on the people. Here you go. Here go another program they're trying to start there, and the people being affected by it. Now, I would have suggested people in Toronto better keep their eye on this project to see if it actually happens, because what we have seen happen in Thornton and Dalton, there's questionable rebuilding and, you know, infrastructure projects that I don't know if people are seeing. So these are some of the things you need to pay attention in your state as well. All states, if they're starting to do these programs where they say we're going to increase the taxes just 5 cents, and that's all we need from each person, and they end up going into this kitty or the general funds, and they end up going into doing something else. Now, I want to say a shout out to Valerie, because she said all 4 of my homes were just put in LLCs. It should have been done when I first purchased, but better late than never. And that's good. I would assume that you own those homes because, you know, if you already have a mortgage on it, it's hard to transfer it into your businesses. These mortgage companies don't want to do that. And sometimes people try to transfer their property into a trust and with a mortgage on it, and it does not work. And sometimes they can do a due on clause on people. So I'm glad that you were able to do that. That means you own your shit, girl. Good job. Good job. Okay. Because that's what we're trying to be owners here. We can't outright own anything in the United States anyway, because we paying taxes and they can levy it and take it back. I already told you, we is like own nothing. In my head, I keep it real. If they do away with property taxes, then we actually own God's land. If it's always any way that they can always take it back, if our predecessors or something mess it up, that ain't our land. So anyway, at least we want to cut some of the middlemen, which is these loan companies. And that's why we do Primetime Home Buyers, the buyback team. So shout out to Valerie. Go girl. I want to have all my properties in my business name too, because it's different taxations, different write-off capabilities. The potholes in Texas streets and freeways are ridiculous. I have spent so much money on. Girl, you too? And that's supposed to be coming out of tax money. They had a program, just to get off the subject a little bit, in Newark when I was there, because our potholes is still terrible out there, that they were doing a reimbursement. But you know how long it took you to get reimbursement? You had to fix it, and then some people had 3 or 4 tires refixed, waiting for their money to get back. They just left it alone. Like, man, we just need to have a spare in the back and keep it moving. That is terrible. So Surrey homeowners will pay more on their property taxes. This is Surrey. Let me see. This Canada. This is global news. Let's see what Surrey is at. Yep. International, baby. You know, we're not going to just talk about America, because what happened with the, you know what? It came right over here. We were locked in the house just like them. They were treating us the same way these other countries were treating people. So I started to look at things on a global aspect, especially with the United Nations thing, with the World Health Organization thing. Like, how many people are we under? How many people are we under at this point? Things to think about. Now, let's play this. Wait, hold on.
Can expect to pay a little more. Meanwhile, Surrey homeowners can expect to pay a little more on their property taxes this year. City Council has approved a 6% general property tax increase, along with a 1% tax increase to the road and traffic levy. It will amount to about an extra $177 for the average single-family homeowner. The city says the property tax hike will help pay for new police officers, firefighters, bylaw officers, and general inflationary costs.
Now let's start right there. And still in comparison, I'm going to be honest, Toronto and this place don't have as much taxes going up like us. Okay, especially in Chicago, what we showed you. They talking about 6%, 9%. I'm like, oh, that's good. Even though that's bad, the normal percent is 3%. But the inflation in America, y'all, please pay attention, is on terribleness. And our actual value of our dollar is going down. Hint, hint, hint. Hint, hint, hint. Other nations are backing their money up with gold. And I'm going to take a whole glass of shut up. California has a system that will reimburse you, not Texas. California do too. Well, Newark did, Jersey did at one point, but baby, you'll be waiting forever to get that. All right, please hit the like button. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being here with Lashley. Now, let's get into this taxrate.org, tax rate property taxes by state. So this is a resource that I want to share with you guys. You know, I love sharing resources. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? That is much better. We just got to take the good with the bad, but we don't settle. We don't settle. We want back 3% or 1 or 0.1. How about that? You know, I take an inch and run it a mile. That ain't good enough. Are you increasing our pay rate 16%, 25% globe in the whole United States? No. $15. You see, I'm about to start talking stuff. $15 minimum wage is not enough to keep up with this. So let me get back to the resources that I want to show you. We're getting towards the end of our live. I usually don't go over 50 minutes with this, but this was pretty good today. Well, I like talking about this anyway. So, but we probably got another 20 minutes. Let's get into this resource, property tax rate by state in 2024. So this is a resource for you guys if y'all would like to see it, to compare and contrast. And then y'all go to the meetings like, well, in this state, in this county, they paying this. I'll be like, yup, that's how I get the best rate. I'll be like, listen, this company charged this do this and this. Why you doing this? They be like, girl, she making me uncomfortable. Yes, 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 and yes. Okay, it's better for me to negotiate with you than on the tail end me be pissed off. Okay, now this right here is 2024 taxrate.org. I did put the link in there for you guys so y'all can just look. Illinois, these are the places with the highest tax rate. Now, this is an example of a chart, but this is a chart that highlights the United States, and it has a ledger. This legend right here with a legend, the legend, whatever you want to call it, it tells you what it stands for. So the blue turquoise is low taxes. The dark navy blue is high taxes. Texas is at 1.881. Baby, that's ridiculous. Jersey, 1.89. That's why I don't live there no more. Jersey. When I became a nurse that first year, I declared to get the hell out of New Jersey because I paid so much tax tickets for my first 30 years. I was upset. Okay. Where else has high? Illinois. You right behind us. That's why I understand y'all. That's why y'all understand me, Dalton, Thornton. That's why y'all love me, because we have the same stuff going on. The crime, taxes, the faulty government, but ours ain't that crooked right now. Who else? Wisconsin is high. Nebraska is high. New Hampshire is high. Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Vermont. Now, I was kind of thinking about this property taxes. I was kind of going to the left because some of these states that had like legalization of marijuana, it was an increased surge of money in businesses, and that helped increase the taxes too. So that's something we could talk about on a later date. But the property taxes is a municipal tax levy by counties, cities, and special tax districts on most types of real estate, including homes, business, and parcels of land. The amount of property tax owed depend on the appraised fair market value of the property that we talked about, as determined by the property tax assessor. And that's a portion, not the full amount. Because the calculation used to determine the property taxes vary widely from county to county, the best way to compare property taxes on a large scale is to use aggregated data. On taxrate.org, your data allows you to compare property taxes across states and county by medium property taxes in dollars. So this is a medium amount, medium taxes, property taxes as percentage on home value. So it's a at or about. You can use the property tax map above to review the relevant year's property tax burden across the United States, measuring a percentage of the home value to estimate your yearly property taxes in the county based on the state statistics. Now, let's see. Let me see. Look where we at. We're going to go on to Illinois just to be fictitious. Let me see what they got going on. I want to see if they do it over a couple of years. Okay, Illinois property taxes by county. This is the tax assessor's office, median property taxes in Illinois. So we have what, y'all got a Henry County out there too? We got Henry County, that's where I'm at out here. I'm looking for Thornton. Y'all seen me looking for Thornton Township. A little slow today. Where is that? Ain't it under Illinois? What county? Oh, y'all Cook County, right? Oh my God, I forgot. Damn, y'all got a DeKalb County too? I'm sorry, y'all. That just take me right back to my tax lien, the tax deed assessment, state by state breakdown, just to highlight. When y'all do your research, make sure that you put the Pacific County and the state, because right here, DeKalb County, they have one in Georgia. They have a DeKalb County in Georgia. They have a Clay County, but they have a Clay County in Georgia too, but it's called Clayton County. They have a Henry County in Georgia, which is what I told you. They have a lot. That's why I know that it's families who own the United States. You're not going to tell me they don't. Okay, because everything is like a cookie cutter. If you go state to state, where I like to travel, everything looks the same. My kids used to wake up when we used to travel like, we still in Virginia. I'm like, girl, no, we upstate New York, just a little different. So this is what I want to highlight. Just make sure that you guys choose the right county. Let me take this off the screen. When y'all doing y'all research, I'm trying to make this as big as possible. But let me see, it's Cook County, right? That's where Dalton and Thornton fall under. So yeah, oh sheesh. Just looking at it on a face value, Cook County is disrespectful. The taxes here is just averaging about $3,681. And that is on what particular property they're talking about. You choose the county from the list. Counties for detailed information on the county property taxes and the county information for the county tax assessor's office. Okay. So this is at or about. Now, it's not giving you specific type of entities like commercial, home, real estate, residential, but this is about. Cook County is disrespectful. DeKalb County is even worse. It's at 4,000 average, okay? So if y'all want to compare counties, please use this link. I'm going to put it in the description now for you guys because y'all know I will update this tomorrow. I'm going to update this tomorrow morning, what I always do. Blessing, Steve. If y'all have, you've been listening from the beginning. I love you. Are you down there? You down there? You almost down there. All right, cool. I'm going to try to stream live. Just my other platforms don't know what we got going on, but I'm trying to stream live as well. The Dalton, someone's going to, hopefully someone down there make a YouTube page down there and they stream live and I could kind of like do it as commentary. Baby, fair use, but I won't be using those people's stuff, okay? Because they just try to set me up. Anyway, this resource is going to be here for you guys. That I put it down here so you guys can compare and contrast the tax rates across the United States, okay? Not just in Illinois, but if you're in New Jersey, New Hampshire, Minnesota, Washington, here go the average tax rate. So let me pick out the one that has the highest tax rate in the United States right now. Jersey is leading right now at 1.89. That's why I moved out. New Hampshire is following. Let me see if I can find anything above 1.89. This is ridiculous. We need to get back to the 0.01. Y'all know where I'm at. South Carolina got a 0.5%. Not too bad. Louisiana have a 0.18%. But what about the income? You know what I'm saying? Versus the cost of living. These are some of the things that I also talk about on primetime home buyers when you're doing your due diligence. You don't just pick a state like I'm going in because I like it. You need to go in. What is the tax rate? What is the actual what is the possibilities that you will have people that rent this property? What type of people is going to rent this property? What are they building there? Do you want commercial? Do you want rural? All of that is done in the beginning when you're doing due diligence like what I just showed you. And you want to know what I'm gonna possibly pay taxes for next year, okay? Because you know what happened, y'all. Just to share a little bit more before I go into my next resources. One of the properties that I invested in Carolina County in Maryland, the assessed value for the actual land, because it did not have a home on it. I am a land investor. I don't like drama. Okay, I am thinking about building now. But I'm a land investor, so that particular property was assessed about $5,000 in the tax assessor's office. But that is just based on a percentage, so I can sell it for a little bit more. But then the next year was COVID, and they did this COVID Relief Act for investors to help investors to lower the amount of taxes they have to pay. So they had to lower the value of it. So it went from $5,000 to about $2,000. I was like, what the? So that affected me because when I wanted to sell it, people like, this only assessed value $2,000. Like, if they go look at that information and then start to calculate everything, it actually took away from the perception of how much my value were for that property because of what they did. It was good because my taxes was lower, but you see, this is some of the things that counties can do, and this is what they do. Does that make sense? Property tax in each state. This is another resource for you. Multifold. Yup, I find resources, baby. And then you can compare and contrast because this is third-party information. And as I explained to you guys, third-party information is basically people who make blogs about it. They consider themselves experts, but they may not be legally bonded as experts. We like to go, that's like we're a second party resource would be a lawyer going to his website where he specializes in. That's a little higher than going to a real estate realtor. Does that make sense? And then your first level resource will come from law. It will come from court cases. It will come from the local ordinance. Does that make sense? So when you go to court, you could kind of quote what the third party said, but you need to get that from the first because that's going to be admissible evidence. Does that make sense? Because we kind of talk about you representing yourself in these little appeals and things like that and what type of resources to bring in, and you don't want to bring he said, she said in. Okay. I appreciate you, Valerie. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad that this audience is appreciating it. Now, just to show you this second resource, because we're trying to get towards the end, we got to show resources to you guys. Did I put it in the chat? Let me put it in the chat and we're going to look at it for a second and then we're going to move on because I think I got another resource for you guys. There we go. There we go. Okay. So each property in each state, and this has a map as well. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. You see that? That's a 2.9%. That's why I say this is a third-party resource. Ooh, that is disrespectful right there. Oh, I would cry if I'm in Illinois. It went up because in the other resource, it said Illinois was 1.73. So the calculation is a little different, and that's why I say y'all have to go to y'all legislator to get the real numbers and go on a county level. But still, this is also good information to use abstractly. So New Jersey ranked number 1. That's why we love each other, y'all. Jersey and Illinois, number 2, the highest ranking taxes in the United States. They suck. Connecticut, New Hampshire follows, Texas after, Vermont, then New York. I'm surprised New York is number 7. And Wisconsin, number 8. Let's go who has the cheapest. Hawaii. Alabama is just, baby, you better just go down and get property and let it sit and just make it your land. Because as far as resources, Alabama, there's not a lot, but I will invest in Alabama to have land. Hawaii, I'm not sure about this. You can invest in Hawaii, y'all. Yes, that's part of the United States domicile, and I do have a free video on that. But it's more complicated in Hawaii. It's more like man down because you need to find it. It's worse than them being out here. Okay, especially since I think it's Hawaii and Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico had that. What they had a volcano or something? You remember they had a natural disaster, and I went over Puerto Rico and investing in the deeds out there. You could do that too, baby. Make it work. You better learn about it. So that is the lowest allegedly. I don't believe it because Hawaii has a high tourist rate, but that's what they said. So that was another third party information. And here go another one now. It's this is the third one. Wallet Hub. Y'all know I'll be finding it. Oh, my stomach itch. Hold on, y'all. Wallet Hub and its property tax bill raise, states look for long-term solutions. So let me just show you one more Wallet Hub, and then we're going to talk about some solutions, okay? Wallet Hub is another one. Now, everybody likes to look at things different. That's why I show y'all different resources, because one may work for one person and they be able to navigate, may not work for the next person. Y'all may not, it may be looking like jibber jabber. And I understand that because when I work in different hospitals, they use different computer systems, and some of it is jibber jabber. I was like, oh my God, I like the other one. So that's why I share different resources with you. But it's at or around the same information. Let's see what this one says. We have it on the screen. Let's just tap the map. Where Illinois? Where the hell? Indiana. Wait, I don't know where Illinois is at. I'm a little slow today, huh? Wait, I gotta look at the other map. It looked easier. Okay, I'm like, where Illinois at? That's it. Rank 50. Look, see, that grid is different, but they didn't. Okay, what does one mean? Oh, one mean the lowest. Okay, see, now their grid is different. You see how to look at this grid, guys? Instead of them having a ledger that say dark colors is this, light colors is this, all it did was dark to light right here. You see that? And then one being the lowest, because you can see here, and 51 being the highest. This is the rank. So this is how you can look at some different graphs and how they set it up. Okay. So again, number one is the lowest is Hawaii, which is kind of consistent with the other website, and Illinois and Jersey. I'm talking shit. And Jersey is terrible. You know, that's my home state. I had to get the hell out of there. Ticking in my ass $100 for a damn meter. It's ridiculous. All right. So now property tax bills rise. Let's get into some solutions. Some kind of like final thoughts. Want to lower your property taxes, 7 steps to appealing and winning. So this is a basic overview of appealing from realtor.com. I'm going to put the link to the appeal video that I did together for you guys. I put together for about an hour and showing you what to do, but this is going to be just a brief breakdown. Am I on the screen? Yeah. Okay. This is what I like, y'all. Honestly. Ching, ching. All right, let's get to it. Want to lower your property taxes, 7 states to appealing and winning, allegedly. Know how the game works. As we mentioned to you, as soon as you get your tax bill, you hit them up in about 7 days, whatever the timeline is that you want to appeal. That's the first important process. Secondly, making sure that you keep your timeline to get to that meeting. Do your research. Go into what's the fair market value. Start to compare the comps. We did not. I don't think I showed you how to compare the tax comp comparables, but I did show you how to do comparables on fair market value when you're selling your home. So maybe we'll do comps on taxes because I have to get the comps for my area, because I want to make sure that my neighbors with the same square foot and possibility fair market value the same is paying the same amount as me. Baby, I don't want no special treatment. So we're going to get into that. And these are some of the concepts you need to know before you get into your appeal process. Okay. You got to do your due diligence. Even when you get a lawyer working for you, you want to know what he's doing. Scrutinize your information and scrutinize your lawyer too. You are the person who pays for your lawyer. Your lawyer is supposed to be guided by you and your needs. Remember that. Don't be afraid. That's what make lawyers like, I like her. She be coming up with some information or if they don't want you to know anything, be educated, they're going to be mad at you. And you don't need those type of lawyers. So scrutinize your information, knowing the square footage of your particular property, the zoning, the amenities, what affects the actual fair market value of your home. We went into that. Find out about what your neighbors pay. As I told you, compare cons, because somebody be paying less and you be paying more. You can say, hold up, wait a minute. Why am I special? We do have federal discrimination laws. We highlight that under laws and regulations for real estate investors, because we have to abide by laws too as private sellers. You're not special, especially when it comes to contracts. You have to abide by the law. You can get sued. Consider hiring an appraiser. Yes, it's always good to get an appraiser at or around the time that you're selling your home, buying a new home, as well as times where you have questions about the actual appraised value. These people could be lying. You remember that video I showed you of that black couple, and that went viral, where they had their Caucasian friend show the house after them, and the price value went from 500,000 to close to 1 million just by them taking down their pictures and changing some stuff up. And that was in the 2000s, y'all. So I don't want to hear that there is totally a fair playing ground, because there is the heart of man, as I mentioned. And if the heart of man ain't changed, then you're going to have to know the game to change it, or at least to put them on point, baby. Because I know the heart of man didn't change sometimes. Some of them, you know what I'm saying? And that's on both sides too. That's on all sides. People are just selfish. So you need to know what you need to do. Understanding how and when to appeal. We went into that. Considering hiring a lawyer and getting creative. Look for tax deductions, or look for like homestead. We're gonna go into homestead. See if you apply. You are approved for homestead, especially as new homeowners. What did I say? Rezoning if you got to go that route. Appeal, and a few other things you can do. Okay, so I saw a local homeowners association. Y'all know that's a red light for me. I can't stand that. That is the last thing that I want to say you guys invest in. Any property that's connected to a homeowners association, baby, it's gonna be a problem. Allegedly, I'm anti-homeowners association. Whatever. Okay. Deductions and write-offs, and that's what we're looking for. Okay. I did a 2-part series live on taxes for real estate investors. So that will be something good for you guys to look at. And also, before I get off this live, I'm going to tell you about 2 events that I have coming up. It's not big events, but they're going to be big for us because they're all about education, and it's free. So again, understand your tax bill, assess your property value, research comparables, attend the assessor's walkthrough, see what they're looking at. Don't let them just walk through your sheet. Yes, I'll be like, what you looking at? What's that? What's that? Yup, I'll be on your tail. Explore tax exemptions and deductions, homestead exemptions, disabled veteran exemptions, senior exemptions, disability exemptions, clergy exemptions, renewable energy exemptions. And as we know, what do they say? Nonprofit encumbrance, that's an exemption. I found that out most recently. So those are some of the exemptions you can look forward to if you actually fit those categories. Now, property taxes changes in Arizona. Let me see what this is. Now, this is, look at that. When was this? I'm just trying to see if this is a good professional finance. See, now, this is another third-party company that don't specialize in data collection, but it seems like they give advice related to property tax. And let's talk about property tax cap. Does your state have one? So this is not a first level resource, but I do feel like this is important for you guys to see what states has a cap. Because I told you in Jersey, I was like, y'all better cap the rent. And she was like, too late, broad. You didn't come to the meetings. I was like, I need help. Help. I need somebody. Help. Okay. So a lot of people are in that situation, and everything that I share from you guys is from trial and error. I've been on my own since the age of 17, having my first apartment, going through heck and high waters with different landlords, different things. So everything I share with you is from my life as far as from my research, because I love to do my due diligence. So let me just share this with you guys, because it's not that I want to be right. I want to be able to stand on good ground, and I don't like to be cheated. I don't like it. I don't like people playing me for a fool, because my spirit will tell me something, but I can't prove it. So the only way I prove it, because the spirit be like, something not right, something not right. I'll be like, but I don't know. And then I got to do my research. This is what make me do it, honestly. My spirit be like, something is not right. And then I research. So now, property tax cap, does your state have one? So this is kind of like a breakdown state by state types of property tax cap, the assessment limit, rate limits, and levy limits. This is something that we're going to get into detail possibly next week. I think next week, because I already have a particular subject that we're going to talk about on Friday. So next week, we're going to get into assessment limits, rates, and we're going to get into homesteads and all that, so you can get an understanding of how to combat some of these taxes. What does these things mean? Okay. So they talk about the property rate in Alabama. Assessment limit, no. Rate limit, yes. Levy limit, yes. Median property bill 701. You know, they number one for the lowest. So this seems to be in order. Now we're gonna go all the way down to the end. Let's go down to Jersey and Illinois. Oh, what is that? Is this in? Oh, they got it in order. Okay. I just thought it was in rank order because Alabama was one. Let me see. Jersey, little stinky so. Let's get to these two, and then we're gonna start signing off. Jersey with their dirty water. I could talk about my city. I could talk about my state. Oh, funky beaches. I'll be going out there like, I'm going to the beach. But I'm not. I'm just gonna put my toe. Because the water dirty. I can't see what's under there. I don't want nothing to bite me. I'm bougie like that. I need to go to the islands where I can see my feet. Shit, scary out here. I'm just talking while I'm looking for Illinois, okay? I know I passed Jersey. Oh, I did. Let's go to Illinois and see if y'all have a limit on some of these things. Indiana, I'm almost there. Illinois has no assessment limit. It does has a rate limit, and that's the rate of taxation, and it does have a levy limit. It's saying y'all median property taxes is $5,000 compared to this website. Jesus. Okay. Is this a good resource for you guys? Because once we get into what rate limit is, levy limits, and things like that, you're going to understand a little bit more. And remember that I'm only going to do that live on Uncensored Enlightenment Talk. I'm not going to do it on here, Secure Your Energy, because Secure Your Energy, we're going to be focused back on other things. Okay. So here go the link to that. It's something that we're going to go into. And let me see. I got one more thing to show you tonight. Oh, no. Did I show you this already? Compare current mortgage rates. Oh, so this is the website that I went to compare some mortgage rates. But that was bankrate.com. If y'all ever heard of that, I'm going to put that up there. If y'all interested in looking into mortgages, I share all types of information. I don't support mortgages because they're trying to keep us in the death note. But if that's what y'all doing, I would love for y'all to be educated and choose the best mortgage company based on the best rates, your situation, and the best contract. You don't want them people to be having a due-on clause, lost your property because of the Dodd-Frank Act that is not being funded now under Trump, and Biden never said that he refunded it. If you understand what the Dodd-Frank Act, we talked about that when it comes under law. Basically, that stops these predatory realtor companies and contractors from actually doing fraud. They had a standard of what the contract's supposed to have, don't have, and the Federal Trade Commission, the Bureau of the Commercial Bureau, the Financial Bureau of Commercial. I'm saying it wrong. That is where you can put your complaints in. And now when you put your complaints in about mortgage contracts, frauds, and things, they seem to only be able to negotiate. They can't even take them to task. They don't have the funding to actually put it forth in court for the people. The only way that happens when you report to these entities is if it's a big influx of us, and they'll do a class action. That is how the presidency affected you and me, and defunding and things like that. All right, so just to give you this resource right here, compare current mortgage rates for today. This was July 1st, 2024. I guess this was an article, but I will hope they have something interactive here. This was in July. We're in July now. Wait a minute. What's our date today? This is a today article. It say July 1st. Maybe this is today article. Sometimes y'all know I'll be skeptical, like it was today. So this is a today article, and this is most likely is giving you this third party's most recent interest rates. Remember, I was saying I was getting tongue tied, and I was saying 30-year fixed interest rate, 7% at or about. This is right here what I was talking about. So you guys who are interested in investing via a conventional loan, this is some of the information that you need to be educated about before you pick a mortgage company. All right? Sound about right? All right, so we made it. We made it to our deadline, 1 hour and a half. We usually do 1 hour of Secure Your Energy, but this was a great topic. We had new audience here. I love you guys. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, everyone else who participated. Mr. Johnson. We have who else? I just want to give y'all a shout out. Who else? I did see a few other people. Steve, thank you for listening to me. I appreciate you, Steve. Keep us posted on what's going on in Dalton today. Some way, somehow, I'm gonna try to go live and stream. And if I don't, I'm at least pay attention to what's going on so I could come back and do some commentary with you guys. I love you. I appreciate you. Please let me know if this content was good for you guys. Did you understand it? Did I break it down comprehensively like what I like to do? Make it make sense, okay? And was it a little bit entertaining? With that goes to say, we're going to close off with these updates. On Friday, on Secure Your Energy on Rumble, as well as on Primetime Home Buyers on YouTube, we're going to do interest and estate, and that's going to highlight possession, use, transfer, encumbrance, and exclusion. And that's related to deed and deed transfer. That's going to follow up on the subject that we talked about last week. I got to make a PowerPoint for that. Okay. Also, I will be letting you know what date coming up this month. It's probably in the next 2 weeks. I am teaming up with a gentleman called Yoel Helpers, and he is going to do financial education to everybody. This is a Hebrew brother, but I just found that I can help his community and everybody else as well by doing simple seminars for you guys. So that is going to fall under Secure Your Energy, and that is budgeting and planning what our assets versus liability. I know that is very simple subject because I'm very complicated, but there's a reason why you need to know what is an asset versus a liability related to budget and planning, because that's the first thing you need to do to get yourself ready to invest in properties, invest in anything. You need a budget plan. We so broke these days. We need to learn how to save 5 cents and make it stretch. All right. So again, now we're going to move on to one more announcement. Every month we do the Q&A. As I mentioned, I was answering a question for John, who showed up at my Q&A, and he was talking about Arizona. As I told y'all, that was a hard state to invest in, because when he invested in Arizona, it is actually a deed state. It's a tax lien state, which is a levy over 3 years. So he invests this year $3,000, and then next year he has to catch the back taxes. Then the next year he has to get the back taxes. So this is an ongoing process until he's able to secure the property and possess it. John was so amazing that he did his due diligence. He said that it was a doctor who owned the property before. He called the doctor's office to see were they still functionable. And I was like, that is doing your thing. That is doing your due diligence. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not selling myself short, but I'm going to let y'all know. John said that he just was watching my videos. All the videos I put up there, he was able to put it together and actually go in and invest, actually go in and do his due diligence. He found a lot of information, and that's what made him ask me about the encumbrance being a nonprofit encumbrance. And that was something new. Never heard that in my life. So that's what we do on our consultations. So our next one is going to be around at or about July 16th. And that's usually the third Sunday of each month. It's a free Q&A. You can ask me anything about tax liens or tax deeds. You can ask me about budget and savings. You can ask me about typical real estate. If I don't know the answer, I would say, hey, I got you. What's your email? I'm going to email you back, or I'm going to answer it on the next live. And that's what I do. I don't mind learning, and I don't mind telling people I don't know. Okay, so with that goes to say that was my announcements. Again, I do want to show y'all this is the last thing. I was like, this is the last thing. At least y'all know where to find me for this particular content. And this content is the buyback hub. First time home buyers. I'm about to pull up the page. You guys on Uncensored Enlightenment Talk, there is on the description page about Uncensored Enlightenment Talk is connected to this actual YouTube page. You'll be able to find this YouTube page because I consider that a sponsor for my other pages and my other content. Y'all know I like to go to the left, have some fun, but this is our sponsor. My business is my sponsor. So again, this is the YouTube page right here. I've been working on this YouTube page for the last 4 years consistently. We have about 2,800 subscribers, and we're moving slowly, but it's okay because the people who watch me, they really like the content. They really need the content, and they see how deep detail I give. I get a lot of comments like, "Dad, why this video ain't viral? God, you gave a lot of information. I be giving too much." And this is why I'm going to let you guys know. This is the playlist, y'all, that I told you about. Secure Your Energy Lives. These are the ones that's for you guys who just want hints and tips about different subject matters. Videos like this. Understanding Law for Tax Lien Investors. This is for real estate investors as well, as the first 1 or 2 is generally about approaching law and the different levels of it. And that'll help the average person understand what is constitutional law, what is state law, what is federal law, what is the difference, how do it affect you as a citizen, who do you talk to first, where do you get your case law from? You can find that here. I have 3 videos that's released, so I think one of them is there. I think there's a duplicate. GIS map, that is something that's very hard for people who are just investing in land, but that has no address. So I'll show you how to look through GIS maps to highlight that there are different GIS maps in different counties and different states. So what I give you is an abstract way of looking for it, and then you apply those tools and you figure it out on your level, on your state level. I did a whole series on Georgia tax lien sales. If you're interested in finding out how to invest in Georgia, this is a 9-part series, but I do believe it's a member only because we have a Georgia seminar that's about 14-part series on our website. Foreclosures, hints, and tips. We have this section for people who are ready to close the deal. Okay, y'all are far beyond. Y'all don't need the wise wins hows. Y'all already did y'all pre-research, but y'all may be having some issues. Y'all may have noticed that something was missing in the process. A lot of the detailed information that I give you here on the foreclosure process even goes back to on a county level. So you will see where the county made a mistake. If they did not notify the person who had the lien or the levy on them, that will mess you up for foreclosure. So that's how deep I get into it, because I like to find mistakes. I'll be like, oh, because I just want to make sure we can fix it. That's how I am. So just a few sections I wanted to show you. Y'all can find this page connected to the other pages that we're on. And I think that's about it. Did I share a lot of information with you guys today? I hope you enjoyed the information, got to see another side of Grace Levi, the professional me. I hope you support it. I'm grateful for your time and your attention. And we're about to hit the fan. Okay. So I'll see you guys later on if you're on my other platform. And if you are on Nurses to Nurses News Network, we're going live tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about super cancer. Super cancer related to this. That's my 3rd platform. Baby, love you.
This is a new year. This is a new dawn. This is a new you. Make this the year where you just get started. The time is now. It's time.
You have to dive in. You have to go after it.
You have to start now. You don't start things and not finish them. You don't quit. There's nothing that comes out of quitting besides knowing that you didn't finish. We finish everything. You start it, finish it. If you're going to do it to try and be the best. Not be better than other people, be the best for you.
The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all? Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time, because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.